Now, Bronislaw Geremek was a Polish intellectual who became a prominent politician. The pipe-smoking specialist in medieval French history was present at many of the tumultuous events that shaped his country's history. He helped to shape it himself as a key advisor to the Solidarity leader Lech Wałęsa in the 1980s and as the country's foreign minister in the 1990s. Born in Warsaw into a Jewish family, Bronislaw Geremek lost both parents in the Holocaust and narrowly avoided deportation to Treblinka himself when a Polish family rescued him from the Warsaw Ghetto in 1943. Our reporter in Warsaw, Adam Easton, discussed Bronislaw Geremek with Poland's current Foreign Minister, Radek Sikorski. He explained why, after the devastation of the war, Geremek joined the Communist Party.
From one totalitarianism, Poland fell under the sway of another one. And Professor Geremek shared some of the ideological fascinations of his generation, but he then made a moral choice to protest and to leave the party in 1968 in protest against the invasion of Czechoslovakia.
Let's move forward a little bit then to his years as a dissident. What do you think were his main achievements?
The union of forces between workers and intellectuals in 1980 was crucial in the launch of Solidarity. Let's remember, in 1968, students protested. In 1970, workers. Each were defeated separately by the communist regime. In 1980, when they came together, when intellectuals such as Bronislaw Geremek advised workers how to limit their political demands, it worked perfectly, and Solidarity, the first free trade union in the communist bloc, was born. That was a key historical moment in which he played a crucial role.
27 years ago, I came to the Gdansk shipyard representing Warsaw and Krakow intellectuals with a letter, and that was the beginning of a kind of political adventure in my life.
In the space of 6 weeks, both workers and ordinary people had passed through a psychological barrier. Strikes, queues and delays, Western style, suddenly became a feature of everyday life.
This shipyard was the very beginning of a new period in the European history. That in the Gdansk shipyard, maybe the first move which destroyed finally the Berlin Wall was done.
He was then interned after martial law, and he was also a key figure in bringing Solidarity back in 1989 and the first relatively free elections in the communist bloc in 1989.
He played a crucial role, didn't he, in the Round Table negotiations?
Crucial and, of course, controversial, because his idea after those Round Table talks and after the semi-free elections was to have a coalition with the Communist Party, and there were others who wanted a different path.
At that time in 1989, at the Round Table negotiations, they were really sort of winging it, weren't they? This was the first time in the Soviet bloc where the opposition and the communist authorities had sat down and negotiated.
And the compromise that was reached, for that reason, I think, was imperfect. In the spring of 1989, it wasn't yet seen as a foregone conclusion that communism would fall. So others that followed had it easier and could pursue more distinct, more clear-cut solutions.
And after 1989, he went on to become foreign minister. What do you see as his main achievements after the collapse of communism?
He was one of the architects of Poland's foreign policy, of Poland's return to the mainstream of European policy. What I think we have achieved in the last 20 years is really remarkable. From the isolation, enforced isolation inside the Soviet bloc, we have become a regular European country, anchoring ourselves institutionally and organizationally in the West. And he was one of the people who wanted it from the start and very consistently supported that. So I think it was cosmic justice that it was he who had the duty and privilege to sign Poland's accession treaty to the North Atlantic Treaty Organization.
And in the late 90s, he was your boss, wasn't he? You were a deputy foreign minister at that point, and he was the foreign minister. What was he like as a man? You worked with him.
I learned diplomacy from him. There was an anecdote doing the rounds. Why does Professor Geremek not get wet when it rains? Because he negotiates between the droplets.
The Polish Foreign Minister Radek Sikorski on one of his predecessors, Bronislaw Geremek, who's died aged 76. This